Well, welcome into the Clutch Fans postgame, y'all. I am here with a good friend. You know him well, Beam a Thug, David Weiner. And I wish it was under a little bit better circumstances, David, that we reunite for this postgame show. But I got to say, Rockets lose tonight at home opener. Kevin Durant's home opener, first game in Houston as a Houston Rocket. And they fall 115 to 111 in a game that we will dissect all over the place for sure, because there's a lot of frustrating things about this game. But they fall to 0-2 on the season after all this hype that we just pumped up for 72 hours after looking really good in OKC in an amazing game, one of those thrilling, exciting games that you felt so good, like a playoff game, like this is so exciting. And I was raving about the NBA product on Tuesday. And Friday, I'm like, what in the hell am I watching here? This was painful. It was a slugfest. It was brutal from the opening tip. I have a lot more to say for sure about this game. We'll dissect a few different things. What were your thoughts watching this game where the Rockets fall to 0-2 on the year?
Yeah, I mean, the Rockets just got outworked by a decent team. I mean, they're, the upper part of the middle of the pack. But, I mean, the Pistons just outworked the Rockets tonight. The lack of transition offense, there's no easy buckets. It was a foul-a-thon. Hot take here, I actually didn't have a big problem with the refs in this game. I thought both teams were fouling on every play. They were fouling multiple times on every play. And I know it's like with offensive holding in football that, happens on every play. You could call it every play. But, I mean, these were two teams that were playing very rough with each other. And, would I have liked to have seen them let some of that go? Maybe. But I didn't think that the refs called it unfairly one way or another. The Rockets shot so many more free throws than the Pistons. I mean, there were just a lot of fouls on both sides. And I'm not blaming the refs on this one. The Rockets just got outworked.
Yeah, that's how it felt. I mentioned that at halftime in a tweet, just kind of summarizing. Rockets just looked unprepared for the physical play, and I'm not sounding the alarms. There are some things that we've been talking about. I know certainly Ben and I have been since the preseason. That being the point guard, some of the defensive concerns. I think some of those were valid tonight. Are you missing Dylan? And I should point out that as far as bright spots go, Kevin Durant did have 37 points tonight. He was the man. I think we shifted so much into this Sengun MVP type talk, in the first game to now looking at, okay, this is the guy who really, is the offensive guru of this team as far as scoring. And tonight that showed. But, you go down the list, the young guys for the Rockets tonight struggled, starting with Sengun, just 5 of 17 from the field. And what was interesting about him, I think he only took 2 threes, missed them both, but it looked more like Sengun of last year, where he was struggling with around the basket, where he looked fine when he was taking those kind of maybe mid-range jumpers or, 12 to 15 feet. I'm like, okay, that looks good. But boy, was he struggling with the physicality, and they threw Tobias Harris on him. It was, the Rockets last year lost to this Pistons team at Toyota Center as well. And Sengun struggled in that game, but that was because Jalen Durham was on him. They put Durham on Adams, went with Tobias Harris guarding Sengun tonight. And so that was a little bit surprising for him to go 5 of 17. And in particular, the final play, which I do have to play here, which, it looked to be a kind of a communication here between KD and Sengun. Rockets down 2 with about 25 seconds to go. As you pointed out, it looked like there might have been a foul that could have been.
Yeah, I thought he might have been fouled on the catch, but, it was enough of a 50-50 call that, I'm not going to kill the refs for that. I think he gets him on the arm right there, but
I think where I was just disappointed is he just took it. I think he was just looking for the foul after that initial point, because he took it into 3 guys, and he's so good at finding open players that it was a little surprising that he took that shot. But
although I will say this, the Rockets' only offense, other than Durant, the Rockets' only offense was getting to the free throw line tonight. I mean, it was Durant was scoring. He had no help. No one else could score. No one else could shoot at a decent percentage. And Sengun, I think in the second half, was determined, I'm just getting to the line because that's the best chance for us to score, and didn't work out there. I mean, I don't necessarily blame him, but the fact that had to be his mindset is that's the game right there. That the Rockets' mindset is we got to get to the free throw line because we can't score.
Yeah, it's interesting you point that out. Rockets took 48 free throws to 23 from the Pistons. 3-point shooting. Rockets did end up 10 of 22 tonight. Jabari was 3 of 9, which isn't in particularly great, but he was 0 for 5 inside the arc. Jabari goes 3 for 14 from the field. Missed that one. I thought he had some good defensive moments in the game, but
his interior defense tonight was fantastic. He got a couple of blocks in there, but not even just blocks, just positional defense, contesting shots, securing defensive rebounds. Like in the first half, we were losing those 50-50 balls, and it wasn't anything spectacular, but he came up with a bunch of big rebounds, a couple big box outs. I mean, he did get cooked on the perimeter, I'll admit that, but interior defense, if we're looking for silver linings, I thought Jabari's interior defense was really strong, but he couldn't hit, he was terrible shooting today.
And there was that one particular one where I think Sengun did draw the defense. This was late in the game. Well, I will say Jabari hit a 3 when the game seemed to be slipping away. I think they were.
Yeah, it was a big 3, but you got to hit more than 3 out of 14.
Exactly. And then a little bit later, I think they created a wide open look on the elbow off the 3 that he missed. So that hurt. So Jabari going 3 for 14 tonight was not helpful. Reed Shepherd. Well, before I even get to Reed Shepherd, I got to mention Amen Thompson too. I don't think Amen played particularly well against his brother, against a team that I know he wants to show out for. He had 4 fouls in the first half, David. Remember, the first half, Sengun was 2 for 11. Jabari was 2 for 8. Reed Shepherd was 2 for 8. And Amen was out with 4 fouls. Amen didn't even start the second half because we weren't sure at first if there was some sort of injury, but no, it was because of the 4 fouls. We saw Josh Okogie, which is another discussion we probably should have as far as did he just leapfrog Tari Eason in the rotation? He started the second half and actually showed pretty well. But
I mean, I think the way he played in the second quarter, I think earned him the fact. I actually thought it was pretty smart of Udoka not to start Amen, just because if he picked up a 5th foul, that was just going to be catastrophic. But like Okogie seemed like the only guy out there who gave a crap, and I think Udoka's a big guy on give a crap, and I would use a different word, but there just weren't enough guys outside of Okogie who just gave a crap about outworking the other team.
Yeah, this was about the only Tari Eason highlight that I can truly remember tonight.
Yeah,
and it was
that was my favorite play of the entire game. But it was literally the only impactful play Tari had the whole game.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what's going on with Tari. Again, it's early because I always worry about small sample size. We talked about the first game and we're like, wow, Jabari leap, Sengun leap, Amen leap. Everything looks amazing. Then the second game brings us back to reality. I wouldn't overreact to this one either. But I do think there are some concerns. One, defensively. You can't, ignore the fact that Dylan Brooks was a key player as far as his mantra, whatever you want to call it, his aura, whatever he brings to the table, to the defense. You theoretically should have guys who can come in and fill that role, and you still have a very big one in Dorian Finney-Smith who's not healthy and should come back and play. That's one. But transition points, fast break points, Rockets are averaging 7.5 now after 2 games. They were in the top 7 last year, averaged, I think just over 17 fast break points a game. That's where they were strong, and they were weak last year in half-court offense, one of the worst teams in the league in that regard. This year, KD should be bringing that back, but you don't want to take too far of a step back in transition. You would think with Amen and even KD out there that they could get out and run more. You do miss Jalen Green a little bit there, and no, I'm not going to say, that you need Jalen Green back or not. No,
but it's true. Saying. I mean, let's give the man his flowers. He was a terrific transition player.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. Is in transition, you do miss Jalen Green's points, but that is a concern. That's definitely sticking
I mean,
out.
you also lost Cam Whitmore, even though he wasn't a huge part of the. I mean, those are two huge transition offensive weapons that are gone, and now you just have, you don't have you don't have enough reliable ball handlers. I mean,
Yeah.
really, the only reliable transition ball handlers are. I mean, I think Reed Shepard's a pretty good ball handler. I think Amen is Amen. You'd like him to be a little better. And I mean, Sengun is probably the best ball handler on the team, which is
That's sad.
sad.
It's a
Yeah.
sad state of affairs. Yeah, they need a point guard. It's they can maybe survive without one. Like we'll see if they can find some semblance of an offense. But it's ugly out there. It's
I mean, for all those people that ragged on Fred VanVleet, I mean, this is what you get without Fred VanVleet. You wonder, why is Udoka always playing him? He always plays so many minutes. Why? He's not that good. Because he's a steadying influence, and he can handle the ball, and he can move the ball where it needs to be and keep the offense flowing. And I said it at the time. He's definitely not our best player, but he might have been our most important player outside of Durant for the season. And it was just a gut punch to lose him.
Yeah, and I will say, even though I don't personally believe it likely, I can tell you even recently, Rockets doubled down that they're not ruling him, out completely for the season. Maybe an April return. It still seems aggressive, but just given that he doesn't require so much of the athleticism elements, we'll see on that. But yeah, you're missing a very key piece in Fred. But I got to say, Reed, tonight 3 for 4 from 3-point range, great. 0 for 7 inside the arc. Reed Shepard.
That floater just was not working for him.
Yeah, and 3 turnovers. There's just, I mean, like I said, Reed as a prospect, fine. We can definitely discuss all that. He's being thrust into a role that's very important, and it's just a little early for him. It's about the best way I could say that. And that doesn't mean he's definitely going to make it. I do believe, that he can succeed, but I'm just saying he doesn't seem ready for being a, full-time starting point guard for a team like this right now. This was a play. Now, you pointed it out. Sengun does switch the screen here, which screws up Reed.
Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. Sengun switches the direction of the screen just as Reed's about to make his move, and I think that kind of he doesn't react quickly enough to Sengun switching the direction of the screen, and just runs right into a double team and turns it over. But I mean, I bet Fred would have read that better.
Yeah, this just wasn't Sengun's best game, really, on any level. I mean, he's always going to be that creator. He had some good moments. Sengun does. He will bounce back. I'm not saying this is any indication of him as a player, but it just wasn't a great game for him. Rebounding tonight, Rockets got out rebounded. You don't see that almost ever. I mean, they dominated the glass against OKC. Tonight. I think it was 61-57. Just even being close is usually a victory for the other team. So that to me was a big factor as well. Are you concerned about Tari? I know we touched on this briefly, but are you chalking these 2 games up as kind of a fluke, or are you thinking, there's more, that basically there's some sort of issue here with given the contract and now Okogie seemingly playing over him at times?
Two games is too small sample size, and Tari's been so good through his first 3 years. I'm going to give him a really long leash before I'm going to jump to those conclusions. And I will say this, as far as the Okogie thing, I don't really think they're the same type of player. I don't know if he's necessarily playing over him. I mean, Okogie started over Amen because he is the better perimeter defender. So I didn't have a problem. It wasn't like a slight to Tari that Okogie started and Tari didn't. I think if you started Tari, it would have been a very awkward lineup. You wouldn't have enough perimeter defense, I think. But yeah, this is 2 bad games from Tari in a row. That's a rarity, and the fact that Tari's so good is what makes this so notable. I don't see Okogie replacing him in the rotation or taking his spot unless this continues for multiple more games, I would say.
Yeah. Rockets only take 22 threes tonight. Again, seems low for what I think Ime would want. They actually were effective overall. KD 3 of 3. I pointed out Reed was 3 for 4. Jabari, not particularly great percentage, but he was 3 for 9. Like I said, he was 0 for 5 inside the arc. Reed Shepherd was 0 for 7 inside the arc. It was really inside the arc where they struggled. So,
they didn't shoot so great from, I mean, again, outside of a couple of players, we didn't shoot so great from 3 either. But
yeah, I mean, but overall, I think they were 10 for 22, 45.5%.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I guess. But I mean, that's still 22 attempts to how many attempts did Detroit get up?
Yeah, that's the point. 39. They were 16 of 39. They hit 41%.
The percentage is not all that matters. I mean, I think you need volume in addition to percentage to really affect the game.
Exactly my point. I think Ime wants to see this team shoot more threes. And I don't know. I don't think he's going to like that outcome tonight. I thought that the zone got broken a few times with Asar or Tobias Harris. Basically.
Detroit, they completely cooked our zone. Harris did a great job going to the middle of the zone. I thought Cade cooked this. Asar cooked this. It was a really bad showing for the zone. And I don't know if that's credit to Detroit or just our guys didn't have it tonight. And, the reason why most teams don't play zone is that a really good NBA team should be able to cook a zone. But, yeah, I don't know. I just think Detroit just had more effort than we did.
Yeah, that's I think that was honestly obvious from the gate. Jalen Duren, usually a very key player. I think he was +6 or +5 when he went out of the game. They might have included that technical when he was tossed, but he got ejected in the first half when he and Men mixed it up. They actually mixed it up. He got called for a technical. And then on the very next play, just a really immature play. I mean, he could claim that it wasn't intentional, but it certainly looked like it on a drive, swinging his elbow into a man, connecting on the chin. Jalen gets Duren gets a flagrant 2 and gets tossed. I thought that might be the opening for the Rockets, but Isaiah Stewart came in, played very physical. Paul Reed, I thought hurt the Rockets too.
He came up big for them, yeah.
And Duncan Robinson hitting 4 of 8 from 3. He did nothing in his first game, his debut with the Pistons, and they didn't have Karis LeVert either tonight. The GOAT, right? I mean,
yeah, that's true. I almost forgot that and he's playing a pretty big role on the Pistons this year. I mean, he's supposed to be one of their key reserves. But yeah, I will point out one play, and sorry, I didn't tell you to key this up or anything, but just one example of the lack of effort from the Rockets is there was a play, I think, where Robinson may have shot it or somebody. Robinson got the offensive rebound, gave it up, ran to the corner, and nobody followed him.
Yep.
I think that was Durant's assignment, and Durant just gave up. He just gave up on the play. Robinson just runs to the corner. He's wide open, and he has a wide open 3 that he knocks down. I mean, that was inexcusable. And I know, look, Durant's no spring chicken. He's gonna have plays like that he's not a Men Thompson. He's not an endless ball of energy. But you can't. Udoka will not stand for that. You can't. We had more than one of those types of efforts tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I come away with, and I felt the same way after OKC game, is that this team's identity, believe it or not, is going to shift in some way, because first and foremost, Dylan was such a key part. Whether he was the most, he's definitely not the most important player, but whether he was so valuable for what he actually did, he was key to their identity, which is this, you can't call all the fouls, just over physical, very aggressive, where you can mix it up a little bit better with a team like the Pistons. And like I mentioned earlier, theoretically, Tari, Amen, these guys should be able to do that as well. But you're kind of missing an element. Of course, as you pointed out, the Fred VanVleet thing that you're missing, or his impact, and the Jalen more as far as transition. But the point is, you've got a different team. Even though there's a lot of the same guys here, you've got Reed thrust into a key role. You're mixing in one of the best offensive players ever in Kevin Durant. It's hard to maintain all of those strengths that you had last year and still improve, because you have lost some guys that were very important to what you did successfully previously.
I mean,
So
I do think that the thought may be that through some amalgamation between Tari Eason and Dorian Finney-Smith, that was your Dillon replacement. So I think we're really feeling it now because A, Finney-Smith is out, and B, Tari has just been ineffective for the first 2 games. And I think when Tari really gets his head in the game and he's impacting winning, which I think will happen, I think it'll happen as soon as the next game is my guess. I think we will feel that absence a little bit less. I think just no Finney-Smith and ineffective Tari really shows the kind of the shadow that of Dillon.
yeah. Well, I think most of us would agree 4 most important. Well, I'm going to include Tari in there, but just 4 guys that certainly get the most hype as far as young players: Sengun, Amen, Jabari, and Reed. Again, I don't want to exclude Tari, but those guys, I think 10 for 40 tonight.
Well, it's your
51.
all-star. It's your all-star and 3 top 5 picks. So I mean, they should be performing.
Yeah, it was 13 for 51. I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I got 13 for 51 is what they shot tonight. I don't believe that it's not good. I don't believe there will be many games where they do that, but people will study what the Pistons do, what OKC did. I think eventually we will get to a point where the Rockets will feel a need to get a point guard. They can't do that till, and this is your area of expertise, they can't really do that till mid-December, right? I mean, or
not unless you're trading Tari, pretty much.
Right. But I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you need, right. Okay. Thank you. In other words, if you trade Tari, you can do it before, but
but your point stands that the Rockets are very limited in what they can do. The vast majority of their players cannot be traded right now. And there's really just basically 3 or 4 guys that are trade eligible right now between free agent signings, core pieces, and guys with implicit no trade clauses. You just don't look for the Rockets to make a trade in the next month. You're really not till mid-December are you really looking for any trades.
Well, Roman points out in the chat, just like, short-term Rockets will look disorganized and inconsistent. And that's fair. I think that there's enough talent here that they can still overwhelm teams with some of these weaknesses. I hope people don't feel like this is piling on negativity or feeling like, oh, we got to go back to last year's team. This team needed to make a leap forward. I'm just saying that some of those strengths might have become weaker. But we'll see how that plays out. I think a point guard would solve a lot of issues with this team, somebody who could fit in defensively. I have heard the name Giroux is just a possibility if it gets to that point, closer to the trade deadline. And if Portland doesn't want to move off of him,
I'm skeptical of I mean, contract. It's a huge contract. It's a very negative contract that, and he's not getting bought out. I would love him as a veteran guard on the team, but I don't see it. I don't see it. If anyone, the guy I could think of maybe late, if he doesn't get traded by the trade deadline and his team is going nowhere and wants to hand the reins over to younger guys, is CJ McCollum. That's the guy I'm circling. If he doesn't get traded, he's still on the Wizards after the trade deadline. If he asks for a buyout and gives up some money, I could totally see McCollum being kind of a quasi Fred replacement. Also, and Roe, I see Roe in the chat say, we still got Aaron Holiday on the bench. I think he's been a relatively effective guy. I'm nowhere near ready to give up on Reed Sheppard. Give this guy a very long leash. It's not looking great right now, but I am not giving up on him. Like I need at least half a season of Reed Sheppard before I'm willing to, give up.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say is the fans that said Steph Castle is another Jayshawn Tate, those people have disappeared. But I will say that you don't give up on Reed Sheppard. Steph Castle looks terrific. I was surprised at the time that wasn't Ime's pick. in particular, but they seemed in unison that Reed's the guy. They believe in him because of the shooting ability and what they think he could be as far as a point guard. I'm not going to lie and say I'm super encouraged by what I see. There's some uplifting things, but I'm not giving up on him by any stretch. I just think it's a little early for him to be thrust into this very, very key role.
Yeah, but I mean, he's the third pick of the draft. I mean, I get
Yeah,
we're
you got a
good,
good
but
point.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't want to baby the guy. Like he's supposed to be good. Let's play him and let's see if he's good.
Yeah, I can't argue with
Spurs are contending for the playoffs this year. Castle's playing plenty.
Yeah, that's. I think we talked about this. That's terrifying to me watching that Wemby. I think it's so unbelievably impressive. I mean, did you see Zion I know he had a dunk on Wemby tonight, but Zion was attacking Wemby, and Wemby was just swatting that stuff out of there. And it's going to be hard to see. Sengun's going to have to be very crafty, very creative to score on Wemby. I know he did it when Wemby was a rookie. He really struggled with him last year, and Wemby looks even better this year. The good news is so does Sengun. So that'll be an interesting matchup. But yeah, San Antonio looks like they're crashing the party early. The good news for the Rockets, they've got the Nets coming into town. Should be a gimme. Hopefully they don't take that view and take care of business. Then they face the Raptors, I believe, and then Boston on that road trip before they come back home and play the Mavs. So they should get their next win in the next game. This should not go to 0-3.
Yeah, they better. If they lose to the Brooklyn Nets, something is seriously wrong. But I'm not penciling in a win against Toronto. They look fantastic in their opener.
I haven't watched them. Play, certainly.
They looked really good defensively. So
let's just say that these are the teams that at least you think you should win, based on what you've built here with the Rockets. You should beat the Raptors.
Should beat the Pistons at home.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, that was another one that I thought they would win this game tonight. No question, especially when Durham went out. Even when they didn't look good, I was like, this is going to be what they needed. So, I mean, this is, we can certainly wrap up here, but Ime Udoka is going to have to go back, to the drawing board on a few things. I don't think he's going to have to rework everything, but, the point guard thing I think is an issue. Figuring out a little bit of transition, certainly. But when they're going to have to figure it out by the playoffs, in my opinion, David. You can't go into the playoffs with this kind of a point guard situation. I think you will get exposed.
Right. I mean, that's why I think you gotta let Reed play through his lumps or prove that he's not good enough.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Anything you want to say about this game before we close up? I mean, Josh Okogie was a small bright spot. I think he's played his way certainly into the rotation. I think he's been in Ime's rotation here since preseason. That was a small bright spot, but really to me, it was just Kevin Durant tonight. I thought the young guys, for the most part, you could pick apart different things with Sengun and Jabari and Amen and Reed, but on the whole, they all were pretty bad tonight.
Yeah. I mean, I just hope this was one of those letdowns. They really played well against Oklahoma City. I was very proud of the way they played. Was expecting that effort to carry over, and it's just a letdown. Our home opener. Oh, we're gonna walk. We almost beat OKC, and in OKC, we're just gonna walk over these guys to victory, and got, like you said, they got punched in the mouth, and they punched back, but they didn't punch back hard enough.
Yeah. And I was complaining a little early, like, hey man, you bring in KD to make him that high volume shot guy. Like that's what they didn't have last year in the playoffs. I mean, really in the regular season as well. You had Sengun and Jalen, and they were both in the 54 percentile true shooting percentage. I mean, the 54% range, which is very low for a high volume, high usage guy. You brought in KD to be that, and it looks like Sengun might, be significantly better this year with the threes. But I just want them to stick to something like this. I think KD should get 20 shots a game every game.
Yeah, although I will warn that, I mean, it's not sustainable though. Like what they're doing is they're like running multiple screens just to get Kevin Durant open 35 feet from the basket to then have the ball, and then what? You just like, let's watch KD cook. And I think that's not sustainable. He's 37 years old. He is not going to play 82 games. And I think if we're just running that play over and over again, get ready for a lot of games without Kevin Durant, because he's not going to hold up.
That's where the point guard comes into play here, Reed or Sengun, more, Shen Hub, whatever it may be, to create easier looks. There was that one nice backdoor cut, if you remember, where
I love that play.
KD faked, ran baseline, Sengun found him. More things like that to get him easier baskets. That's going to be on Ime Udoka to figure that out and free up KD, certainly. But to me, that is your closer. That is your best offensive guy as far as shooting and scoring. I'm not saying he's the best all around. I think Sengun, certainly all his versatility offensively, but your scorer and closer should be KD. And that's what I did like about tonight. But other than that, just everyone else complimenting Kevin Durant just didn't bring it tonight. So we can close there. David, I appreciate you doing this. And we'll be back Monday when the Rockets should be celebrating their first win after playing the Brooklyn Nets on Monday. Yes, I don't want to jinx it, but it is Brooklyn. That team should be tanking. And we'll be back then. Appreciate all you guys, everybody in the chat. And we will see you guys on Monday. Thanks.